Hey guys, happy Sunday. My name's Jess, welcome to my channel. Let's have a cup of tea and talk about 5 ways to save money while homeschooling. So my first suggestion is to know your state requirements. Requirements can differ greatly from state to state and country to country, and it's really helpful when picking out a curriculum or deciding what you're going to do for the year to know exactly what you need to cover. Buying a ready-made curriculum is really convenient, and I use a ready-made curriculum. I don't have anything against them, but I think just when I've researched different curriculums, they tend to cover the basics, sort of what you need to cover, and then bulk it out with heaps and heaps of other stuff, and it can create quite a large workload for both you and your children and can cost hundreds of dollars. The very first curriculum that I bought was a little bit like that. It covered the basics and then it just had all of this extra stuff which wasn't really necessary, but because I hadn't fully studied my requirements, I thought that they were things that I needed to do, and it was this unnecessary pressure and unnecessary expense. Now sometimes you want a curriculum with lots of extras because it makes it really rich and enjoyable, and certainly there were aspects of the other curriculum that I had bought that we did enjoy, but if you're aware of what you need to cover, then you can make a better informed choice about if you want to purchase that curriculum or not. So once you study your requirements, you may find that you can cover the areas that you need to cover quite easily with maybe just a reading program and a maths program, and then throw in lots of read aloud time or free online classes, or even looking at Pinterest. Pinterest is amazing. You have a good understanding of what you need to cover. It gives you the options, I suppose, to look around the internet for cheap or even free ideas on ways to cover those things. So my next suggestion kind of ties in with that one when I mentioned using Pinterest, because Pinterest is a great way to save money on resources. And my second suggestion is to buy secondhand resources or find free resources on the internet. Going to the op shop is an amazing place, or the thrift store for my American friends, is an amazing place to find classic children's stories and activity books. I've found so many over the years. Even if we kind of step away from curriculum things for a minute, but homeschool, if you have like a homeschool room and you need pen holders and filing cabinets or display folders, things like that, the op shop often has a huge selection of different things, desks and chairs and things you could fit out a homeschool room with for like a fraction of the price. But yes, the op shops are a great place to find read aloud books, particularly old classics. I find I've had lots of luck over the years finding great children's stories. The other thing to do with that buying secondhand tip is to join, if you have, I know with us, our local homeschool group, we have also got like a secondary group that's a buy, sell and swap page, and they have great things come up all of the time, books, desks, chairs, all that kind of stuff. And if your local group doesn't have one, then you could make one and let some friends know. Or if you don't want to create a local buy, sell, swap page, you could also just, if you've got some resources that you aren't really using, you could say, hey, does anyone want to borrow these? You can post a picture of them and say, you're welcome to borrow these for a few weeks if you like, and they might return their favor with something else, and then you could set up a really nice community where you can just borrow each other's resources, and that saves loads of money too. My next suggestion is to compare products. Now, I know sometimes it's better to buy a more expensive product if it will last longer and if it's of higher quality, if it's something you'll use a lot. But I have found lately I needed to buy a new laminator, and I went in and was going to buy a more expensive one that was $70, and when I was just about to leave, I was kind of looking at the cheaper one, which was $20, and I noticed they both had a 1-year warranty. They both had the same warm-up time and time that it takes, to process the document, and something else was the same, or that maybe the same thickness of, laminating pouch that you can put through. And I was talking to a staff member there, and I said, what's the difference between these two products? I mean, aside from the $50 price difference, what does the more expensive one do differently? And he said nothing, absolutely nothing. It's just a name brand laminator, but they're pretty much the same. I mean, they even looked the same, they felt the same to pick up, and I've been using that. So I bought the cheaper one, and I've been using it a ton, and it's been amazing. It's been really good. So that's a good way, a good thing to do as well, is just kind of look at the boxes and really try to find out what the difference is. Maybe have a look at a few reviews if you need to, but don't always just presume that the more expensive one is better. So my fourth suggestion is to check out your local community's website, if they have one, for free upcoming events and activities at libraries and museums and art galleries, things like that. Our town, which we're moving from sadly, but our town has some really amazing events through the year. One is like a light festival where they have these amazing display of lights, but all through the main street of the town, different countries have different stalls, and your children get a little passport, and you go from each stall and learn something about each country. I mean, that's an amazing learning opportunity, and it's a free event. And we recently had a winter solstice free event, and there are often within the community really good events that happen. So keep an eye out for things like that happen. That can be a learning opportunity. Also, of course, places like the museum, keep an eye out for exhibits that they've got coming up. Art galleries is a really great place, great places to visit, particularly if you're doing an artist study. I mean, maybe you could find a local artist and study their work. If there's an exhibit on, you might even get the chance to speak with them, or go and see their studio. If you're really involved in your community, then you'll find just naturally there are so many really great learning opportunities that are free and come up really regularly. And of course, libraries. I'm sure most homeschoolers frequent the library just to borrow books and everything for free. But also keep an eye out through the school holidays. I know a lot of homeschoolers in my area tend to kind of hibernate when it's the school holidays, just because everywhere is so packed when we're used to having it all to ourselves. But our local libraries have great programs through the school holidays that we've gone and joined sometimes. Things like art activities, like what's one recently? It was like a mosaic art activity. There was a How to Train Your Dragon event where you kind of got to create your own dragon and make a little book. Really fun and engaging, interesting and educational. And they're free. So yeah, make sure to be involved in your community and keep up to date with things that are coming up. My final suggestion is to pack your lunch every day. Packing lunch, one of the things I love about homeschooling is that if you're, doing stuff at home and you look out the window and you're like, wow, it's a really beautiful day, let's go out to a park or to the beach or something, you have the freedom to just go and do that, which is amazing. But it can get expensive if you go out and about all the time and you've got to buy lunch every time you're out, or morning tea or afternoon tea, and you're going to buy bottles of water if you weren't prepared. That gets really expensive. So this is not something that I'm very good at. It's something that I'm working at, that I really want to try to master. but just making your lunch either like the night before or that morning. I mean, it has other benefits apart from just saving you money. You do things like teaching your children a life skill, like how to make their own lunch, or if you've made the lunch and you don't end up going home, you don't end up going out and it's just in your fridge at home, gives your children some practice at being more independent, sort of going and getting their food for themselves. Yeah, it saves you some time as well, not having to pause in the middle of the day and go and prepare everyone's lunches. Maybe you don't tend to, just kind of randomly decide to go out partway through the day, so that's not a big issue. But if you know that you've got something coming up, like some sort of field trip or something, yeah, making your lunch to take with you really does save a lot of money. Well friends, they are all of the suggestions that I have for you today. I really hope that you find them helpful. If you've got any suggestions that you'd like to share, I would love to hear them. And I hope that you have a really great week. Talk to you again soon. Bye.